Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Two College Dudes podcast with myself and my good friend Matthew Kinder. This episode is an intro to the two of us, so it's going to be a little different and a little longer than future episodes, and on top of that, we're still kind of figuring this whole thing out. We believe that social media and modern entertainment don't do a good job of portraying what real life is like for young adults and college students, and they certainly don't give great life advice. So we've made it our goal to bring on college-aged guests and ask them about their experiences, perspectives, life lessons, recommendations, and even just some fun stories. Life's an adventure, and we believe people could benefit from both sharing and hearing others. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Me and Matthew.
To the show.
We're just going to be talking about our lives and our experiences.
Hopefully it's interesting.
Yeah, hopefully it's
Might
interesting.
not be. We'll see.
This is going to be a question that we're going to ask every single time on the podcast. So we're just going to ask each other this question, but then when we have guests on, we'll ask them.
Okay.
So the question is what do you recommend?
What do you recommend?
What do you recommend? I asked first.
Okay. What do I recommend?
Yeah, you can think about it for a second.
No.
No
I've got a great answer for this. What do I recommend? Virgin Island root beer.
Oh.
Would recommend 100%.
Where do you get
Listen
that?
to me. The Virgin Islands.
Okay, I got you.
It's on Amazon though. It is pricey. It is a bit pricey.
All right.
But I promise you, it is the best root beer.
It changed my life.
It will change your life. It ruined all of the root beer for me.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
So
is it
good.
worth it?
Yes.
All right. I got you.
We'll split some.
All right.
We'll split. We'll get like a little 6-pack and split it.
Dude, that sounds cool. Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. No. John.
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
I'm going to recommend the first thing that comes to mind. You know what? This might change. Like, maybe we'll ask each other this and like it'll just be something different in the future. But I'm going to say the first thing off the top of my head is I recommend going outside. Like, yeah. Inside's fun and all, but it can get kind of boring. Like, go outside every now and then, whether that be to work out or to play, I don't know, soccer, or frisbee golf or football or something, or to go for a hike or to go camping. If you live near the ocean, like, that's so cool. Like, go to the beach. Like, just don't forget to go outside. Like, take advantage of where you are. Fair. And when there's a nice day, just get yourself up out of bed, and you can take your bed outside if you are so inclined. But just go outside.
Camping. That's what he's talking about. Camping.
Yeah. Anyways, so Matt, what was high school like for you?
What was high school like for me? Well, first of all, John, I happen to love high school. Okay.
All right.
And that's not an experience that a lot of people have, but I really enjoyed it just because like our friend group was super solid. We were just hanging out like mostly every weekend, and
yes, sir, we were.
Yeah, especially sophomore year, every weekend at Miller's house playing Minecraft.
Yes, sir, we would. Heck yeah. And then Matt and I we were both on the soccer team,
Mm-hmm.
so sports was definitely a big part of our high school experience. And then track and
a
field.
little bit.
Yeah.
For 1 year.
Did you like every aspect? Like, was there anything that you didn't like about it, or did you like everything? The social stuff, the sports, the schooling, the teachers. You liked everything.
Well, that's a good question, John.
The food. Did you like the food?
That's a great question, John. Did I like the food? Depends. It
Depends on what day it was.
Crispito
Day.
On the day. I did not like Crispito Day, and I'll tell you why. Kindergarten, I made the mistake of opening up one of those Crispitos, like unrolling it, and it looked like dog barf with cheese. It just ruined it.
Is that not what it was?
It just
I loved it. I loved it.
It just ruined it. Obviously, like, class wasn't super fun, except with like Profe. Loved Profe's class.
Shout out to Profe.
Shout out
Bollinger,
to Profe Bollinger. Come on.
Yeah.
A lot of it for me was just like I was in class with at least 3 or 4 of the guys that we kind of hung out with on the weekend. So
whole friend group was in there basically.
Yeah, and it wasn't like super hard academically. So did you not really like high school all that much, John?
So I loved parts of high school and I hated other parts. In my experience going into high school, it was such a new thing to me. So being just in a place with a lot more people, I loved that part, and I loved playing sports. But the schooling part of it for me was like, it's very different. It was like I could do it, but then suddenly I didn't want to anymore. So like at Prodigy, it was much more of like an individual.
Gotcha.
Like the classes were a lot smaller, and the teachers. So it was a lot more one-on-one with teachers. It was a lot more like the teachers like seeking out and fitting your needs, as opposed to more of the like you have a class of like 30 kids and you're all doing like if not the same thing, close to the same thing. So that part, and also there was some class, like there was a class called Pass Class, Preparing for Academic Success. I hated that class.
So, there were days I liked that class.
Okay.
Movie days were great. Pursuit of Happiness, great movie. You gotta go check that movie out. Will Smith. Yeah, it wasn't like a super useful class for sure. I think that was geared more towards
people who were struggling.
Yeah. And like we were in like
struggling.
honors classes. We were in the advanced placement.
Not to gloat, of course. It's just like it's just, when you put everyone in the same class, saying like this is for people who are struggling, but then you put the people who aren't struggling in there also, then you end up with a bit of then the teacher has to work with people who are and aren't struggling. So then some people feel like their time's being wasted, and other people feel like they're not getting enough time.
Right.
So stuff like that I didn't really like, but hey, we got through it.
We made it all.
Here we are. Do you feel like? First of all, let me ask you about your freshman experience.
Yeah.
So where did you go? Obviously I know, but for our
for the millions of viewers out there, I went to Baylor University for my freshman year. Why?
Yeah.
I am not good when it comes to making big decisions. And I have a lot of family down in Texas. Plus, it's obviously a really good school. It's a Christian school, so there's like a lot of community down there.
Mm-hmm. Your older brother and sister went there too, right?
Yeah, my older brother and sister went there. Katie and Luke went there. They're both super involved with fraternities and sororities and stuff like that. And they loved it. They had great community. They had great friends. But when I got down there, I just kind of didn't really get my feet under me in time and just didn't really get plugged in the way I should have. And like looking back, there's a ton of things I could have done to kind of fix that. Yeah. Could have done some stuff differently. Could have had a much better freshman year. But just like as it was, I just didn't get plugged in the way I needed to get plugged in.
So Matt and I went college touring. So
see, we went to Wake Forest and Belmont.
Wake Forest, Belmont, and I thought there was a third, but that might have been it.
I think you and Blake went to a couple other ones.
Yeah. So then Blake and I went to University of Arkansas to look at that, and then I also looked at Mizzou, and then SEMO obviously was right across the street from my house at the time.
A little too close.
So, yeah, I didn't want to go there. Yeah, so I ended up going to Mizzou with our current roommates and high school friends, Blake and Miller.
So what was that like for you freshman year, by the way?
So, I got to school and I was kind of like, dude, I kind of like rule the world. At that time, I started kind of like straying from my faith, I guess, because one of the things that I have struggled with growing up is getting a consistent routine down.
Yeah.
With, like having quiet time, going to church, worshiping, getting in small groups. So, in this totally new place, already having like a few friends up here, I didn't feel much of a push to spread out and get friends when I was trying to get situated otherwise.
Right.
And then on top of, school, and then I also tried finding a job and stuff like that, I basically, it was just, that stuff kind of went out the window. And that really started to affect me like around winter time.
Yeah.
Was it freshman year that we got sent home for COVID?
Yeah, spring semester, like halfway through spring semester.
Yeah, that stuff sucked. So yeah.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I will say, like, just without mom and dad, like, getting you to do like Bible studies in church and like eating vegetables and stuff.
Yeah.
I had the same experience. It goes right out the window. Yeah, it's tough. I wasn't on a schedule. I wasn't really going to church all that much my freshman year. I was eating a lot of ramen.
Hey.
Yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so then COVID. I'm sure everybody and their mother knows about COVID at this point. If you don't, like, who are you? I remember seeing some memes about it in like January, I think. And I was like, man, that sucks for them. And that was when it was over in like Europe that was when it was in China.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing memes and news articles now of it being in Europe, and I was like, it's getting a little closer. And then I remember the day that I got an email from Mizzou that said there is like 13 confirmed cases on campus now. And at the time, like, we didn't really know much about it.
Yeah.
Like it was just like the mega death virus at that point. It was like, if you get it, you're gonna die. We don't know if it's airborne or not. I remember my mom calling me and being like, John, like, you should definitely come home now. You shouldn't stay at the dorm because like they're saying this thing is airborne. It could get in the air vents and it could and I was like,
it was freaky. Like,
it was freaky.
I was like with my family for spring break when we got that email, and I remember I got sent back because all my stuff was in the dorms at Baylor. And I got there and it was just empty, and it was like spooky. Yeah, like how quickly everyone just got sent home, and it was just weird.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because I was one of the last people to leave campus.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was trying to hang around. I was like, no, I've got a job. I have this really nice dorm room.
That's right. Yeah, you stayed.
But I stayed longer. I mean, I was here like a week.
Right.
A week longer. But I remember walking to try and get food somewhere, and it was like another cold day, and it was gray. And normally when you walk through the very middle of Mizzou's campus, it's just packed. Like three people wide on every sidewalk, just lines of people doing this and that, and buses driving around and stuff. And there's not a soul.
Yeah.
Like literally nobody. And it was really eerie. And then I went home. So I guess we can talk about quarantine now. That's like a good segue. So semester got cut in half, but classes did not, for the most part at least. Yeah, so what was it like for you?
So I think this was kind of the experience with like a lot of, like especially like underclassmen at the time, was like all of our classes were put online. I feel like they were made a lot easier. Like the professors didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was going on. I feel like they kind of threw us a bone with that.
I think you're right about that.
Because I got through the rest of that semester without a problem.
Yeah.
And the first like month and a half was like my parents were keeping everyone like in the house, which they should have been. That was a good call.
Yeah.
But then like
that was the 2 weeks, right?
Or 2 weeks, not a month. I don't know. It felt like a month.
It's been like 2 years now.
Yeah,
but that was the initial 2 weeks where they said everybody stay inside unless you're grocery shopping.
Yeah. But after that, it kind of picked up, like for me especially, like
schoolwork.
No, just like
being able to like see people and
right. So like obviously we kept in like small groups and we'd go meet. You
kept your circle small, yeah.
Right. We went to like hike. So like it was you, me, Cole, right? And
Lucas, we made some trips over into Illinois. We found some really, really nice hikes, which I feel like that was one of the blessings that came out of all this hardship.
I think honestly we had like an experience that not many people had. Because like when I've talked to people about like their quarantine experience, they're talking about like, especially like people stuck in cities and stuff.
Yeah.
They talk about just a couple months of just not being able to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I guess even if you're in Cape Girardeau, but you've never been like hiking around the area, you don't really know where to go. Like, even that would have been rough. But like,
and especially if you're in a new place and like you didn't know anyone, like dude, that would be like, for me, especially like, that would be so like lonely. Like, dude, power to you if you had that and pushed through it. Like,
well done.
Yeah, well done. Oh yeah, school for me also did get a lot easier, but it also got in some ways a lot harder for me.
Really?
So one of the things that I've kind of struggled with is just staying motivated and on top of my schoolwork.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to do that, and I came to realize that it was easier for me to get up and walk across campus for an 8 a.m. class than it was for me to get up in the morning and turn my computer on to do my assignments.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but maybe something about just being there, like physically in person. It's like, this is real, this is tangible, this is happening.
Yeah.
But when it's just like an online thing, it's like, if I leave my computer closed, like it practically doesn't exist. Like obviously it does. And that's like a maturity thing that I've kind of grown out of. But so that was really, really weird for me.
Yeah.
And then what happened sophomore year? So sophomore year, we were allowed to come back onto campus. Although for me and Blake and Miller, and now Matthew. All right, actually, let's talk about that first.
Yeah. Wait, we skipped over something here.
This is the homecoming story.
This is a beautiful story.
You ended up not liking Baylor.
Didn't like Baylor.
Because you didn't get your feet on the ground.
Right.
And all this stuff happened, and you were like, all the homies are at Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened with that?
Yeah, so, it was just a long time of me kind of making excuses for myself at Baylor.
About staying there or about leaving?
Like, about just, like, kind of circumstances I found myself in.
Yeah, I got you.
It was a lot of me, like, blaming, like, other people for it, which I now realize is, like, total crap.
Yeah,
but at the time, it made sense. And, like, obviously, I'm still very, very happy that I went to Mizzou. I switched to Mizzou.
Yeah, I got you.
I am glad for the experiences I had at Baylor because, like, looking back, that's been, like, a huge part of my walk. Just a big part of my testimony and stuff like that.
Mm.
But like at the time, it didn't feel like a blessing for me.
It felt crappy.
It felt crappy. Yeah, it felt not good. But yeah, so it was just kind of months of me like trying to figure out a plan, trying to get a way out of that. And eventually kind of talked my parents into switching it up, going to Mizzou, which was like one of the best decisions I've ever made personally, because like now I'm with the boys, you know, got that in-state tuition.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But yeah, so we just ended up switching to Mizzou pretty easily, actually. I only lost 1 credit hour.
That's actually
transfer wise. Yeah, really I've never heard of. I think it's because like COVID. I think schools were just kind of
easier about it.
Yeah,
I bet a lot of people ended up moving home.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a pretty painless transition. Yeah, so like my sophomore year here.
And then we all got an apartment together.
Yeah.
So that was one of the coolest things ever, because suddenly we have so much more space. We feel like we're living on our own even more than we were at the dorms. And then now it's all 4 homies together. That's not to say our fourth roommate freshman year, his name was Otto. Super cool dude. Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna watch it, but if you do, what's up, Otto? We should hang out. Anyways, keep going.
Right, sophomore year. Right. So like I remember. Well, first we got quarantined for a couple weeks.
That's right. I forgot about that. So literally the day after we moved in, we were all up here hanging out. We had a couple friends now who were freshmen also, like some of my little brother's friends and stuff. So all of us were hanging out, driving around and stuff. And then the very next day, I was going to donate plasma because they pay you for it, because it saves lives, and they pay you for it. And then I got a call from my dad, and he was like, John, I just wanted to let you know that I've caught some kind of terrible disease, and I'm covered in chills, and I've got a really bad fever and headache. And I was like, no. And literally after I got off the phone with him, I started having to clear my throat. So then I ended up getting a pretty bad fever, like 102, I think was the highest it got. I didn't have a cough, so it was just mainly a fever for a couple days. So I called the doctor, got all that set up, went and got tested. They shoved the thing up into my brain. And then, it was great.
Could you like taste and smell and stuff?
Yeah, so my taste and smell, I'll say I never noticed that I lost it.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that since I had it, that 1, I like spicy food more, and 2, I like the flavor of strawberry more. Not like the fruit, but like the ice cream, like the candies. I don't know.
But not the fruit. Not the
actual. I mean, I like strawberries, but
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. I don't know. But I quarantined super strictly then for, the 10 days after my symptoms or whatever.
We did not cut you very much slack.
No, you guys didn't cut me much slack. So I will say, no, I knew you guys were joking with me the whole time when you'd be like COVID boy, or like get back in your room or whatever. I totally knew you guys were joking about me, and you guys would bring me food and stuff, so it was nice. But, dude, I don't know if I'm just like more extroverted than the normal person, but I actually noticed by the end of that 10 days, I started like talking to myself. Not even joking. 1, I was really sad. Like, you'd think just being holed up for a while, just being able to play all the video games and watch all the TV you want and get paid for work while you're not there. You'd think that would be like just great. But you guys left one time, and I came out to get some food out of the pantry, and I was sitting there. I was like, "Do I want this? No, I think I want that. What should I?" And then I just kind of stopped, and I was like, "Oh."
I mean, I bet that must have been like super hard though, like, because when you were in your room, we were probably all.
I could hear you guys all like laughing.
Yeah,
and stuff.
That must have been tough.
It was kind of tough, yeah. Yeah, by the end of that, my soccer ball over in the corner was looking awfully friendly. Started talking to it. No, it's actually... Yeah. Yeah, nobody else got it. It ended up being my dad who got it and me. Nobody else in the car with my family. None of you guys. None of the people I'm around. So what I like to say is not that I have a weak immune system, but that I have a strong one, because it was strong enough to keep it from spreading to anyone else. That's what I'm telling myself.
Your immune system was the jail that kept the COVID in.
Yes, it was. So sophomore year was online, which was, for me, again, I realized was not all that great. Also, having had to quarantine right there at the beginning of the year, just got off to like a rough start.
Yeah. So I was coming straight back from Kanakuk, which is like a
big Christian camp.
Yeah, it's a big Christian camp for like ages 6 through high school, basically. Yeah. Over in like Branson and Lampe and stuff.
And you were counseling there, right?
Yeah, I was a counselor there, and I was coming back to Columbia, and I had a couple contacts who were in K-Life, Peyton and Alex, they both like started texting me, and then we got quarantined, and I kind of ended up ghosting them, which I feel really bad about. Like, it's okay. Like they're in Salt with me now. So okay, like nice. It's cool. We're still we're nice. Friends now, but like
and if you don't know, Salt Company is it's a
college ministry, which has been like a blessing. That's actually where I was about to go. This is a good.
You're about to start talking about Salt. Yeah. So sophomore year, unlike freshman year, I was determined to get involved in ministry.
Same.
Just to get involved in some kind of small group, start going to church regularly. So I went up to the first ministry that I saw on campus, which was Salt Company. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the biggest church planting organizations in the world, I think. They'll start by setting up on a college campus, and then you'll get involved with small groups and like discipleship and all that. So it was really cool. I walked right up to him.
The one here is only like 5 years old.
It's really young, but it's doing really well. Yeah. So I started going to. I think I only went once or maybe twice before you and Miller both came with me.
Yeah. No, wait. We met up in, was it Ellis?
Yeah,
I think it was Ellis.
We met up at, in one of the upper rooms of the library on campus. That was our first time.
Yeah, I remember being like nervous. Like I was like, I don't know what ministry I'm gonna get involved in. And then my man John's like, "Hey, I'm going to a small group right now. You want to come with me?" And I was like, "What? Right now?"
Okay, I guess so. It's 8 o'clock.
Sure, might as well. We're half an hour late, but let's do it.
Yeah.
That was awkward walking in.
It was.
Everyone just kind of stopped talking, like
just looked at
us for a second.
But that was a split second, and after that, like we all started talking. It was pretty chill.
It was great. Yeah, I love those guys.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you're like thinking about getting involved in some kind of ministry, and that initial like meeting is like kind of daunting, like dude, that's how it is for everyone, even people who've been in like ministry stuff like that for a while. Just because you don't know anybody. If you're late, it makes it even worse. But
thankfully there were 3 of us.
Yeah, honestly, just like walk in and like try and laugh about it if you can, if you're late. Otherwise, the consistency, like 2 or 3 times, like you'll feel real comfortable around everybody. 10 out of 10 would recommend, because when you go through hard stuff, if you don't have like a good support group in place, and especially if you're somewhere new where you don't know a lot of people, then it gets real tough. So definitely like try and get that in place if you don't have that already.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like from the get-go, we kind of started going to a bunch of like small groups with Salt.
I don't even remember how we started going to Young Life. I don't remember, but I remember going. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time we went. Again, it was one of those things where it felt like kind of awkward at first, but then like you start talking,
How did we start?
I don't remember, but we went to Carter's house and we were playing like cornhole or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
And I remember thinking Tyler was a lot like Kumar, who was our high school Young Life leader.
I love Kumar. I've still got your Chacos on, bro. Hey, I've still got the Chacos. Yes.
But yeah, so then we started getting involved with Young Life also. Simultaneously, while this is going on, school is still online. So that ended up being really tough for me. I guess I'm just an in-person class type guy. So
that's fair.
Yeah, so I ended up really struggling, and then I made a mistake in not talking to my parents about any of this. I started feeling kind of overwhelmed between work and school.
And 2 small groups at this point.
Yeah. So I started feeling kind of overwhelmed. Like obviously, I should have just talked to my parents. Like my mom told me that. She was like, "If we'd known you were like struggling like this, like we'll help you out. Like we'll work something out." But I just kind of isolated, I guess. And I was like, I got to do all this on my own. So then I ended up dropping 3 classes, which is never a good idea because you've already paid the money. You've already like gone so far through the classes. And then I kind of made, it was a thought out decision, but I made the decision then to take the spring semester of my sophomore year off, which I'm going to be making up for at some point. But I'll talk about that in a minute. How was the rest of your sophomore year?
Rest of my sophomore year, like first semester we're talking about?
Yeah, we can talk about first semester.
Yeah, okay.
Other than Salt and Young Life.
Yeah, so obviously I was like still doing Salt and still doing Young Life.
Yeah.
So I didn't get like super involved with like either of those until second semester, and that's kind of the point where like we both kind of made a decision with that. John went Young Life, I went with Salt. But first semester, academically, I kind of feel bad about this, but it was like my best semester of college
Yeah.
so far.
Well, because you just moved in with your homies, so
yeah.
you were closer to home.
And
You had
online kind of clicked for me. Yeah, we embodied two very different types of student.
Yep.
And then Blake's a titan over there.
Blake is.
Just studying like 12 hours a day, but we're not gonna.
It's crazy.
Can't talk about that. It makes me
Yeah.
uncomfortable thinking about doing that.
Studying.
But yeah, so I loved like online rather than going like in person, just because like in person I have a hard time like focusing. I don't know. I just get like nervous kind of for in-person classes, and
That's fair.
That started like
you had a little bit of anxiety stuff. Flaring up.
I had a lot of like anxiety problems kind of start up like senior year of high school. They kind of followed me into freshman year at Baylor, which is actually one of the big reasons I kind of ended up switching schools. That kind of followed me also into sophomore year at Mizzou. So like I really enjoyed like the online Zoom aspect, just because like I was kind of in class, but at the same time I wasn't nearly as like nervous about any of that.
Yeah.
So I started doing a lot better with class. I was able to like actually keep like a good schedule, which is weird because I'm not like a very organized person.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was just
you had some more structure to it.
Yeah. I don't know. It just works for me. I don't know what the answer to that is.
I got you.
And actually, like this year, I'm taking more online classes than I am going to in person still. But
hey, find what works and do it.
Yeah, honestly, like there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, "Oh, you have to do in person. Like that's how you build like connections." No, I haven't done anything with like classmates outside of class like at all, and I still have like huge connections through like SALT and through like Young Life. So like, just do whatever you're comfortable with. Honestly, whatever works. You know, because like you're paying a lot of money to go to college, so
yeah. So do what works. Don't try and force it if it's not working for you.
Yeah. So I had a good couple of semesters with online. It was kind of weird though, like being part of a college and not going on campus.
It almost doesn't even feel like college.
Right. It felt. I don't know what it felt like, but it definitely didn't feel like college.
It's different.
Yeah, because like 98% of my studying was done in my. Just like in my room or in like the kitchen or something like that.
Because honestly, at this point, like we still couldn't really even go.
Yeah,
we
weren't. The campus was all locked down, basically.
Yeah, if we went to campus, the chairs were zip tied to tables with zip tie chains, and then there was one chair to one table, and they were all spread out, and then there was caution tape everywhere. The benches were taken out or flipped over, like.
I did have one in-person class, and I remember going and like. It was like weird. It felt like it was a tiny school because you'd see like 8 people.
Same 8 people.
Every day. Like, and like just walking to class, you'd maybe see one person walking somewhere else. It was weird, like ghost town weird.
Yeah, definitely not a school with like 30,000 people.
Yeah, like this year it was nuts. Like I've done more like events and like social stuff in the past 2 weeks than I did like all last year.
Yeah, seriously. Just because stuff's actually happening.
Right. Like, stuff is actually going on. Like, the Midnight Barbecue, Tiger Walk. Just, like, a bunch of fun stuff that wasn't really offered last year. So, it's been good this year, especially. Honestly, there was a lot of good stuff that came out of that, too. Just, like, you, me, Blake, and Miller would go out hiking, like, every other day.
We know, like, every hike around Columbia now. So come hit us up if you need a hiking or,
That first hike.
Yeah, so the first big hike that we did.
It was supposed to be like a 2-miler, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like 2 or 3 miles, maybe even 4. We were like, all right, we got this. And 5
hours later.
Yeah, and then it started getting dark, and we were like, I feel like we should have been done by now. And then the next sign and map that we found said, 5 miles left. And we were like, oh, wait a second.
Here it is, 9 o'clock.
8 o'clock, we can barely see.
That was the beginning of a long line of night hikes.
Yeah, it was. There's actually like a bit of a charm.
Yeah.
There's a charm to going on a hike at nighttime. Obviously, it'd be safe, like go with a group and bring flashlights and stuff. But like the entire world is asleep. Like it's just, I don't know. It's different. It's cool.
I will say, like conversations hit different.
Conversations do hit different.
It's like weird. Yeah. Like I don't know. Just like daytime hikes, we're like goofing around, having a good time. But then like night hikes, the second that sun goes down,
you get deep.
what do you think of predestination?
Yeah.
What's your purpose here on earth?
What is your deepest fear?
What is your deepest, darkest sin struggle right now? Just a bunch of stuff like
that.
Just like a bunch of that stuff.
Anyways, so my second semester of sophomore year then, so I took a gap semester, which is something that not everybody does. I wouldn't necessarily say I recommend it, but if you're like struggling to figure out what you want to do and you just need some time to chill, like do it. Like obviously think through it, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, just be like, hey, do you think this is a good idea?
Yep.
And then talk to your school, see make sure you can keep your scholarships and whatnot. So for me, honestly, it feels like it hardly put a hiccup in my schedule. Probably won't feel like that when I'm starting to take summer classes or I'm here an extra semester trying to catch up. But I'll deal with that when I get there. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, and then your second semester, was it pretty similar to the first one then, I guess?
Yeah, it was pretty similar. Kind of one big difference for me was like I started kind of pouring more into SALT than anything else.
SALT company, yeah.
So like I still did Young Life, like small group and stuff, but at this point I decided like I want to pursue like ministry through Anthem and through SALT. Love everything about Young Life.
You just felt called more to SALT company.
Yeah, I just felt called more to a leadership role in SALT company. And I don't know, I think just like coming off of like Baylor and stuff, I wanted to be working more with like guys who might be in that same position, who maybe have a little bit of experience, like life experience under their belt.
Yeah.
And just aren't really sure what to do with it.
Yeah.
And like that's obviously something that can be found in high school. And like people need to be working like with high schoolers. That's just not really where I felt called to be. So yeah, I started going like a lot more to SALT. Took a class, TOG, Theology of the Gospel.
Yeah.
That was great. Like you just learn how to like
defend your faith, basically.
Defend your faith, right?
And or like share it. Really.
Right. Approach people like who you might not know and just explain it in like layman's terms. Which was awesome. Like
that's really cool.
I didn't really realize that was something I needed until I took the class.
Yeah.
But that was
there's
great.
a lot I didn't know.
Yeah. It was cool. It was really cool. There was a lot of spiritual growth happening in the second semester, which was great. That's
really good.
One of the big reasons I switched to Mizzou was like I'm not getting a ton of spiritual growth here at Baylor, so I'm going to switch it up, go to Mizzou, and thank you for dragging me to that first SALT group.
You're welcome. It worked.
Because here we are.
Yeah.
So
if you trust God, like everything will work out for the better.
Absolutely.
So I guess now we can kind of talk. I guess summer was summer, dude. So yeah, so for the last 2 summers, the Matt Miller and I, and then the first summer Cole came with us. And then the second summer Clayton came with us. So the first summer we did this, which was not this previous summer, but the summer before.
Yeah.
We went to
Piney Lake.
Yeah, we went to Piney Lake in Colorado.
Awesome.
And we did some backpacking. We summited Mount Powell. Dude, so cool.
5 tries.
Hey, check out
5 years.
Check out my. It took him 5 years. But yeah, that was honestly probably one of the highlights of my whole life.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like that was so cool. Like it was probably one of the first like big like adult trips I ever went on. Like,
are you talking about Colorado?
Colorado.
Yeah.
It was just us and the homies.
That was like, oh geez, that was like the first time I had seen y'all. Yeah, no, that was the first time I had seen you guys in like a couple months. I remember being like
since Baylor.
Yeah, I remember being like a little nervous. I was like, oh boy,
am I an outcast now?
Right. I was like, am I gonna be like a step behind? Like, is this gonna be kind of awkward? So like about 10 seconds in, I was like, yeah, no, I feel great.
Camping is a great way to reconnect with your friends.
Yes.
We're a bunch of softies as it turns out. So
hey, we did a big
backpacking trip that we weren't ready for. Like it was so much fun. Yeah. We didn't bring enough food. We didn't bring enough water.
And the altitude even like you went from Missouri to let's see was
like
base camp
it was
like
almost
1400 right. Base camp was at like 11.
Yeah,
11,000.
Yeah, sorry.
Mount Powell was like just below 14,000, and that's a big old change.
It's like 13,700 something.
Yeah, it's.
Something like that.
So
Miller didn't actually make it up the mountain. So what we did was we made our base camp at the actual campsite and we hiked up to the base of the mountain. We went up really far for that too. We were the only people up there. We were in this mountain prairie between like a few peaks. It was beautiful. Absolutely. Again, if you want to check that video out, that is all documented on my YouTube channel.
That's about 50 minutes worth of footage that we could describe, awesome. But it's going to take a long time.
So go watch that if you want to see some more of that. And then this previous summer, Matt Miller and I, and then Clayton, we drove to Minnesota.
That was
awesome. And it wasn't really backpacking. It was because as
it was
turned
supposed
out,
to be.
It was supposed to be backpacking. It ended up being harder to find a legit backpacking trail than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and
so we got there and we kind of just played it by ear, and it ended up being awesome, honestly.
Yeah, it did.
It was really cool.
It wasn't quite as like outdoorsy tough as Colorado had been.
Yeah, it was. We wouldn't walk from campsite to campsite. We ended up needing the car to get from one campsite to another.
We got like 4 pieces of cake.
Yeah,
in the first 2 days.
We stopped at this one cafe that we kept driving by, and we kept buying $7 pieces of cake.
It was,
which is outrageously expensive, but it was also outrageously delicious.
But yeah, that was awesome.
That's actually all documented also on my YouTube channel. The video quality is much higher. The editing quality is a lot higher.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, definitely go do all that. We've kind of started a tradition of driving and camping every summer for like a week.
10 of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, so this is actually something I read about. It was the idea that if your life is always just go, mm-hmm. work, busy, and you never take time to enjoy like your hobbies
right.
and to have some kind of outlets, then you end up being more prone or more inclined to look for that release in bad places, in bad ways. So
easily
don't feel bad about like taking some time to, get outside or do something fun, because it's not a bad thing. Like, we're only here for a certain amount of time. Like, obviously you want to work, but take some time to chill.
You keep grinding too much, you have nothing left.
Yeah.
Poetry.
Yeah. If you never rotate your rotors, like, your brakes are not going to work right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you keep pulling weeds, eventually you'll stop pulling grass.
All right, dude, our metaphors are brilliant. Yeah, so now both of us are in the point where we just started our junior year of college. I'm in all in-person classes now.
2 more years and then we're out, basically.
Well,
that's crazy.
I think you'll be done before the rest of us. Blake's going to be in accounting school. Miller and I both have missed a few classes, so we're going to...
I don't know.
We might hang around just to stay with the boys.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
No, I've been thinking about doing like a master's, just to, like open up some more doors.
Yeah.
Because like English,
Making bank over there, English degree.
Yeah, but we'll figure that out when the time comes.
So we're kind of starting to enter this like season of change here.
Yeah.
Which is where we're going from students, which we've been students for like 16 years. Gosh. Which is a really long time. Like I realized that semester I took off was the first time in 16 years that I have not been in school for more than like 2.5 months. And it was really weird, but we're about to be there. We're never going to be in school again. So not to say that the heat's being turned up, so to say, but I feel like we're kind of setting precedents for the rest of our life right now.
Yeah.
Which
when you say like the heat's being turned up, I don't feel like a big pressure to like find exactly what I'm doing at this point. Like, I'm just feeling like I need to find the right track to be on once I like get out. Cause
yes.
Especially like English, like you can do a lot of stuff with English, and like you're doing, I'll let you tell them about like digital storytelling and stuff.
Yeah.
Once I found out like what major I'm gonna do, what I really enjoy doing, like that took a lot of the pressure off for me. If I'm using like my gifts, if I'm like putting my trust in the Lord, like something's gonna work out.
So yeah, it'll work out.
Yeah,
because that is one thing that that's a bit countercultural but it's like true happiness and fulfillment doesn't come from success or money. That's not to say that hard work and finances aren't really important.
Right, they're blessings.
Yeah, they're blessings. But at the end of the day, like for us as Christians, like it's our relationship with God and our ability to love people and make a difference in other people's lives and like share the good news and whatnot. I think going into college too, that's another thing that's kind of shifted for me. Is at first I was like, I don't really know why I'm in college. It's just kind of like what I'm supposed to do. And then after a little while, it was like, I'm in college for good grades. I'm in college to get a degree. I'm in college so that I can make a lot of money. And I ended up just kind of miserable.
Yeah.
And after finding all this stuff out, and then it's also switching my major to something that I'm a little more interested in, just because now I don't necessarily have that just looming pressure of how much money am I going to make.
Right.
It's like, it's going to work out. It'll be okay.
What are you thinking with that? Like, ideally, like, what would you love to be doing after college?
So right now, Matthew's an English major. You switched from business, right?
Yeah, business and marketing. Now I'm English and creative writing.
Heck yeah, dude. So I started first semester. I started college by doing computer science, people from Google came to talk, and I was like, that's like the magnum opus of programming jobs, and that sounds miserable. So I switched from that to business, and then that was when COVID and everything hit, and then through that I just kind of realized like I'm not really interested in this stuff.
Right.
So then after that I ended up switching to digital storytelling, which is what I'm currently majoring in. It sounds kind of wimpy, like the fact that I have to describe it to people is like, I don't know if this degree is going to carry much weight when I get out. But I'm thinking, so what it is it's like film studies. It's how do you get a message across using digital platforms? So I do think it is going to be really relevant. But I do plan on getting like a marketing or a communications minor, just so that it has a little more, oomph to it when I go to get my first job outside of college. Yeah, so I'll be working with film, which is actually kind of why we're doing this. So we're going into like a big season of change. We're like in the process of setting precedents for the rest of our lives, really. I mean, I feel good. Like my faith is at an all-time high. I'm making a lot of new friends. I'm preparing for leadership with Young Life. I'm in a major that I think I'm actually, enjoying and I'm gonna be interested in. What about you?
That's big. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Honestly, like faith has been like building exponentially more than it has in the past, just in the past like couple of years, which is like amazing, obviously, but at the same time it can kind of be hard just to like look back on your life and be like, that was an idiot thing I did.
Yeah.
And just like feel a lot of conviction for those things.
Something I heard from JP Pokluda, he says, let your mess become your message. Yeah. Which so yeah,
it's a
here
big
we
part
are.
of your testimony.
Heck yeah, dude.
But yeah, that's been absolutely a blessing, just finding those connections with like SALT, with the church and stuff like that. I've started doing leadership with them this semester, which has been really cool. Yeah, I've never met like a group of guys just like
so solid.
Yeah, just that dedicated to like not just growing in their faith, but like bringing other guys with them and like pointing other people towards the Lord as well. Yeah, it's just a very tight knit group of people that are just doing life together and holding each other accountable. It's really, really amazing. I feel really honored and blessed to be a part of that.
That's poetry.
That
we gotta have Kennedy listen to this, man.
Shout out to Kennedy and Riley, my leaders last year. They were awesome. Yeah. Love those guys. Yeah, just like on top of that, like I'm in classes I'm really enjoying. My only in-person class is creative writing. First day of class, I walked in and we had to do those like icebreaker questions. And it was like, what's your major? Have you always wanted to do this? What's your experience as a writer? It's like, well, it's my first year as a writer. I was business, but I ended up switching to English. And I was like expecting like great choice. He goes, well, that's either the best or the worst decision you've ever made. Dude, which wasn't super comforting. But that's gonna be a great class.
We're gonna go with that's the best decision you've
ever made. That is the best decision I've
ever made.
Yes,
it is. Second is switching to Mizzou.
Of course.
And joining Salt Company.
Third best decision.
Third best decision. There you go. Yeah.
But he's my professor is in a grad program for creative writing, which is like super cool.
That's cool. So he's not much further along then.
No, he's only
a couple years difference.
He's quite a bit older actually. Okay. I think he's like 30.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, that's only 9 years.
It's only 9 years. Yeah, we're closer to 30 than we are to.
Stop. Whatever you're about to say, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Also, both of us are 21 now, so it's been kind of fun.
But it was really cool to see like he's doing exactly what I'd like to be doing.
And successfully.
Exactly. He's going to be a professor. He wants to be a novelist, and like when he was like talking about the class, he was talking about like we're going to do a lot of like peer review. Like we're going to have one-on-one discussions. Like intro was a lot of participation. Like it was more of like a filler class. But this year is for like people who actually like writing, who have a little bit of experience with it. So I'm hoping to kind of find out, like, can I make something out of, obviously I'm going to do something with English, but can I do something out of writing, like novelizations and stuff like that? I'm excited to find out, like, if that's the path that I'm supposed to be taking. And if it's not, great, I can do, like,
that's
some sort of English something with a business of some sort. But
that is a great attitude to have.
Yeah, I'm just excited to find out, like, is this actually a legitimate path for me to be taking? I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. But if not, then great. You'll take whatever comes your way.
Right. And honestly, I could fit in like a little business minor if I needed to.
There you go, yeah.
I'll figure something out.
You did the English degree for fun. You do the business minor so you can get a job.
Poetry on the side.
So one of the big seasons of change that we're about to hopefully go into is finding a wife.
Big M.
Yeah.
Marriage.
Yeah.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Unhappy wife, stone cold misery for the rest of your life.
That's poetry. You invented that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Been meeting and talking with lots of people about this. Like what kind of girl, like for us, like what kind of girl do you look for?
Right.
How do you have a good, like healthy, like God-fearing relationship, stuff like that. There's this book called Outdated that is amazing. I've only read 3 chapters, but I've been listening to all the guys' like sermons and stuff, so they line up. Yeah, tons of interesting stuff. If you're a dude or a girl, like go check that stuff out, seriously, because
dudette, whatever.
Dating wasn't a thing in the Bible.
Right.
And then
you're either married or you're single.
Yeah, and then God bless my parents and all the instructions they gave me, but they're not pastors, so
it's tough ground.
It's
really hard.
Specifically because there's nothing about dating in the Bible. So it's like you really have to like read into it to piece together like how do you do this.
That's something I've like talked about with obviously like guys at Salt, but then like at camp. And one of the guys at camp who had a big hand in discipling me, Luke Barlow, he talked to me about like basically there are like 3 aspects of any relationship. There's like physical, emotional, and spiritual. A lot of what we talked about was like finding the balance between like those 3. Because if you jump ahead with one of those, like the other 2 are going to want to catch up. Finding that balance is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And I've not done a great job with that like in the past.
Yeah.
But
me too, dude.
Yeah, that's always, that's part of the process.
Our mesh becomes our message. Yeah, so, but one of the big messages that I've learned from this book, Outdated, is singleness is a gift, which I kind of always thought, like, if you end up, like, not to, like, offend anybody, but, like, I kind of always thought, like, if I end up, like, older and I never get married or have kids, I'm going to be a loser.
I love any sentence that starts with no offense or anything. Manny always does that. Manny would go like, I don't mean like any offense, no offense or anything, but like proceeds insert insult.
No offense, but you suck.
No offense, but that was dumb. Just like stuff like that. Like what? Yeah. Manny, get it together.
That's Matt's little brother, by the way.
Yeah, that's my little brother. Sorry. Yeah.
Specifically, Paul and Jesus were both single, and they both made note of that. They both said something along the lines of, "If you can remain single like me, so that you can, like, for the good of the gospel and sharing the love of the Lord, like, it's better for you to do that." And that's just something like I never thought about before. And then there's this idea of the gift of singleness, and if you have it, and then it's like a good thing to be used.
Right.
And it's like, well, I would like to get married at some point, so like I don't have the gift of singleness. And it's like, well, actually we do. Because we are single. In fact single. We are in fact single.
Stop. Stop. I think it was in one of JP's sermons. Yeah, he was basically like talking about like kind of the same thing as what you were saying, but like biblically, like we're called either get married or be single, right? Like get married, like start a God-fearing family, That's the best way to disciple. Right. And then the other one was like, and like it's not lower or worse like by any means, because like he said, Jesus and Paul like had this exact scenario. It was like live a single life for God, like with everything that you do, like point others towards Christ, like use that gift of singleness like to point others towards the cross. Like John said, like I would love to be married someday.
Yeah. I need me a wife, some kids.
A house.
Yeah, a house. Yeah, a house. We talked about a whole lot. Our future podcasts might be a little bit shorter, probably, because I don't know if people are going to want to listen to an hour and 7 minutes.
I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it. There's a lot coming out right now that's like really interesting. Yeah.
If you've made it to the end, God bless you. We love you. You're a great fan or family.
Mrs. Ogburn is watching. Mrs. Ogburn. My mom might watch this whole thing. Yeah.
My dad probably won't. Make it a little shorter.
Manny will watch about 5 minutes of it.
Yeah. So to sum it up, if you have any ideas for future topics for the 2 of us to talk about, we'll probably also bring on some guests every now and then, which that'll be fun too.
That'll be cool.
We're basically just going to be talking about like our perspectives on what's going on. We might talk some news, politics, that sort of stuff. Probably it'll mostly just be maybe some religion.
I am very politically insightful, so...
Yeah, as we are.
Yes.
Everybody is a political expert nowadays, you know what I'm saying? So if you have any fun ideas for stuff we can talk about, shoot them our way. We'll try and do this every now and then.
Yeah.
We don't have a super good schedule in place yet. Yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and close it out then.
Yeah, that's good. Cue
If
the
you
jingle.
listen this far, thank you so much.
I'm Matt.
I'm John. We'll see you guys next week.
That was good.